the perfect formula to save millions of dollars. And this is sort of inspired by Nischa when she was recently on the Diary of a CEO talking about her 65-20-15 breakdown. And I have a similar breakdown myself, and I've taken this from Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. It was like, okay, so Nischa talks about 65-20-15, okay, and 15 cents on the dollar you spend on yourself, okay? And I was thinking through that, I'm like, well, this is a little aggressive in the realm of spending that money on yourself. It's nice to do that, and it might come across as more sustainable, but my argument on this is that I'm in the realm of strength and conditioning. I'm in the realm of nutrition and things like that. And I'm still convinced that the harder you are and the more you set a strict framework early on, and you say, for 6 months, I'm going to do this. 6 months. Okay. And then you can alleviate it later on as you start to see this success. I think that ends up being a bit more productive and a bit more positive. And I got this, my numbers, okay, are 70-25-5. And the 5 cents for myself goes back to saving that for yourself, your kids. You know, we've got a family of 4. My wife and I have 4 children. And so we've tried to, for the longest time frame, to set it up where we're going, okay, if we can save and spend on ourselves, okay, so spend on ourselves 5 cents on the dollar. So if we're making $80,000 a year, that's going to be about $4,000. Okay, so $4,000 that you spend on yourself, and this could be anything. It could be going out to eat, it could be buying a new suit, it could be doing whatever. And if you're spending $4,000 a year on yourself, that ends up being about $80 a week. So if we're spending and we're going out to Chipotle 3-4 times a week, well, that's your $80. If you've got something along the lines of, you know, I want this thing's going on this month, and I want to save $320 for this month is going to go to buying a suit or whatever it might be. That's something extra. So you've got 5 cents on the dollar, and this stems from the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger discussion, where they would say you spend 2 to 3 cents on the dollar on yourself. I think that's a little steep, but I actually sort of agree, is like establishing that big time goal. Now, the next thing that you can then do that I believe is you take that 25 cents and you say, okay, 25 cents on the dollar, I'm going to invest in my family. Okay. And what does that mean? That means that for every 25 cents on the dollar, for 25 cents that I make, I'm taking this 25 cents and I'm investing in the family long term. So I'm putting it into a fund to focus on 1 month of expenses. I'm putting it into a high yield savings account to get 6 to 12 months of savings because that's going to resemble those expenses. So if something happens, we can pull from that high yield savings over a 12-month time frame. If that's the emergency fund, okay, then we can start to take that 25 cents on the dollar, and once those get built out, and then we can start to develop things and focus on different pathways, like investing in ETFs, simple ETFs. So we start to focus on long-term, validation projects like an ETF, maybe even real estate, some bigger goal that is investment focused for the family focused investment. Okay, so long-term play that's going to get you a large return. Okay, so that 25 cents is now, for simple math, let's say it's $25,000 a year. Okay, let's say that my monthly expenses, because I have 4 kids, is $10,000 a month. I need to have $60,000 to $75,000, $60,000 to $80,000 in a high yield savings account to take care of that emergency fund. So we've got to have 25 cents on the dollar to gear towards that. And if we can make sure that we're paying off debt that is above 8% as quickly as possible, get rid of all of those factors so that we can get that 25 cents on the dollar invested in these different things, which then leads to quicker return on passive income. And that's the thought process that goes about thinking through this. Now, Nischa's split, I believe, was 20 cents on this one, was 20 cents where she was focusing on this. And I think it's perfectly reasonable. I think everybody's going to have some type of split. You've got to be, I like to look at this in a long-term fashion where the younger you would be, let's say 20 to 35, I actually think you should be much more strict with the 5 cents and with the 25 cents. Because if you are much more strict at a younger age, you'll see a quicker return, and you're probably going to drink less, you're probably going to party less, and you're going to be more focused on that long-term development, which will have you set up in a much better situation financially when you're 30 to 35 than if you were a little bit more laid back and laxed. You're establishing these habits early on in your life. And then you can get a little bit more lax later on because you can still put in a large amount into that investment because hopefully by then you're earning more based off of your salary. Now, for me, the final aspect is 70 cents on the dollar going towards paying my mortgage, paying my bills, making sure transportation is lined up with a vehicle, making sure that we can cover our insurance, making sure that we have a mortgage that we want to build out. I do think there's some crossover between the 70 cents and the 25 cents in our mind that we are using, that we have used in the past towards mortgage down payment. But if you can look at that 70 cents and say, okay, every month I spend $200 or $300 on food. Every month I spend $1,000 on let's just say rent. It's probably a lot more than that. It's probably $1,500. Every month I spend $200 on electricity. Every single month I'm spending on gas. I'm spending another $200. Every single month I'm spending, X amount of dollars on some type of issue at our house or whatever it might be. So now you start to factor in that 70 cents gets put into those much larger recurring payments that happen all of the time. Okay, and you're always prepped for that. You're always setting that money, that 70 cents aside. And then you're building your long-term wealth through long-term investments, okay, through high yield savings, through whatever, anything on those lines. And then you're looking at that at the same time you're spending that 5 cents on the family or 5 cents on yourself. Now, what ends up happening is if you could do this, let's say you do it for 3 to 6 months to the T, to the absolute T, 3 to 6 months at 5 cents is all I'm going to do. That's all I'm doing. And my grocery bills, I'm pulling from that 70 cents. Okay, so my grocery bills are the 70 cents. That's a recurring thing on the regular. And that enables you to, if you want to buy, let's say you want to go shop at Whole Foods instead of shopping at Aldi. Well, that enables you as long as you stay within that 70 cents area. Okay, and then over time, as you start to really dial this in, and let's say it's a 6-month time frame that you're holding yourself accountable to do this, you start to recognize things in the 70 cents that you can start to move over or decrease or rearrange. And then on top of that, you also start to think through, how can I make my dollar worth more? How can I make more dollars so I can have more money here? And then that's where you start to play this game of asking your employer for a raise, asking for, maybe switching a job, maybe looking for a side hustle that you can increase the number of dollars so that you have more income than expenses. So when it comes back to all this, you got 70, 25, 5. That's my split. I like Nischa's split of the 65, 20, 15. I think it's a fantastic split. The biggest aspect here, one split's not going to be better than the other. Consistency, holding yourself accountable, identifying your form of financial validation, identifying your path and your purpose and your goal and where you want to go. That's the most important thing, but set that time frame. 6 months, I'm going to follow one of these splits as clearly as possible. I'm going to follow through with this. And then at the end of that, you can reevaluate and see, where's the money that's going towards yourself? How much money have you had saved up? And how easy have you been able to manage paying those bills? And once you can make that decision and analyze where you're at and be confident and proud of where you're at, then you can make that next decision. Do I want to change that split slightly, or do I want to keep rolling forward for a very long extended period of time? Let's say every single year, is what I recommend is that you would roll through that financial split for a full year, and every year you revisit and reevaluate and see what you want to do. I hope this helps somebody out there. I like the 70, 25, 5. I think Nischa's split 65, 15, 20 is absolutely fantastic. Just stick to something. Peace.